Good evening, Facebook Live. Pastor Terrence Lyons of Ecclesia Ministries here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Coming to you on tonight, bringing you a nice Bible study. Pray that everyone is doing well and had a good week thus far and still growing off of Pentecost and doing well in life. So pray that everyone has definitely been making it okay from the haze and smoke and everything else. Good evening there, sis. Good evening there, Pastor April. Good evening there, Overseer Melissa. Pray that, again, everyone is doing well on tonight. Definitely going to stir up some stuff and take things to another level. We still dealing with restitution from the day of Pentecost. No, I'm not letting it go. No, I'm not letting it slide. I'm making sure that enemy understands better not fool with him again. We're definitely going to uncover some more stuff on tonight and get things stirring. So, I'm sure you saw the question. Have you defined your fruit? Have you defined your fruit? And tonight, like I said, tonight's definitely going to springboard into Saturday. And as we set this for tonight, I promise you, if you'll latch on to tonight, I'm going to give some dates out Saturday. Everybody knows what goes down when I give dates. I'm going to give those dates out. And as I have had this week has been different in a very good way. This week has released the power. It's released an anointing. There's some things that are going on now that are working and in the workings, and I want to make sure that all of you are receiving the benefits of that as well. You should have some things working on your behalf. You should have some things shifting, some things adjusting, some things happening that are giving you an assuredness that the power that you received on Pentecost. Good evening there, Prophetess Tanisha. The power that you received on Pentecost is releasing some changes for you. And I'm going to be showing you things that should be changing, things that should be redirecting, and it'll all make sense. But again, that's why the question tonight is so important. Have you defined your fruit? So I want to start out, our first scripture tonight, I want to start out in Hebrews chapter 4, verses 12 and 13. In Hebrews chapter 4, verses 12 and 13, it's a familiar passage, probably to most of you, but I want to make sure that we dive into it on tonight because I want to show you something. In this, it says, "For the word of God is quick." That word quick right there means alive. It means that it's living. So it's quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the dividing asunder of soul and spirit. That's very important. Dividing asunder of soul and spirit, and of the joints and marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart. Neither is there any creature that is not manifest in his sight, but all things are naked and opened unto the eyes of him with whom we have to do. All right. So in verse 12, when it says, to the dividing asunder of, watch this, the soul and the spirit. Soul is the mind, the will, and the emotions. The spirit is the air, the power, the residence of where the Holy Spirit rests within you. So in Genesis is when it talks about he breathed the spirit into us and made him a living soul. The reason that I want you to understand this point is because those are separated. They're not the same thing. They're different. And some of you have probably, over the past week or so, you've probably been feeling this kind of eerie, I don't want to say gut wrenching because it's not been a painful thing. It's just been like a feeling of a queasiness, for lack of a better explanation, a feeling of a slight queasiness whenever certain instances either come to mind or you are partaking of them. It's just been almost undefinable feeling. And as you felt that feeling, there's a transition that's happening. That's why you've been feeling the feeling. It's not a bad thing. It's a transitional thing. And the reason that I want you to understand this is because when it says dividing asunder of soul and spirit and of joints and marrow. So joints and marrow, they're in the same vicinity, but they're not the same thing. The marrow is inside of the bones. The joints are where the two bones come together and they actually have a connecting point, but they're not the same thing. They're close together, but they're not the same thing. Likewise with soul and the spirit. They're close together, but they're not the same thing. They work together, but they're not the same thing. All right. Watch this. So then it says, and is a discerner of the thoughts and the intents of the heart. So your thoughts are, you have thoughts about specific things. So for instance, you can think about Bible study. You can think about, Sabbath service. You can think about those things. But those thoughts are not the same as the intent of the heart. Those thoughts are broad. Intents of the heart means that it is zeroed in and it is focused on a specific thing. I am trying to do right here. See, because when you see the word heart, it's not talking about the beating thing in your chest. It is talking about the center of your thinking. So a thought is broad, but a heart of a thought is centered around something very specific. So what happens is that when you get your thinking centered around something specific, now all of the energy that was broad is now zeroed in on one specific thing. Now, here's why this is important, and I'm laying a foundation here, and because I gotta lay this before I get into answering the question of have you defined your fruit. That's why you're saying, well, it's joints and marrow. Well, okay, so you're just talking about a broad area. What joint and marrow of which bone? That's why when Adam's talking about Eve, he said, this is bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. He's saying, okay, this was broadened, but now this thing is zeroed in. Y'all stick with me because I'm going somewhere. I'm getting ready to take a hard left here in just a second. So it goes on and it says, neither is there any creature that is not manifest in his sight, but all things are naked and opened unto the eyes of him with whom we have to do. So when God looks at your thoughts and your heart, he's seeing all of it working together. Now, he's seeing all of it working together and knows exactly what it's going to produce. But the problem is you haven't been zeroed in good enough to know what you produce. Oh, so that's why getting to the place to where you know what you are thinking about a specific thing and what outcome you want out of that specific thing requires you getting to the place to where you can see it like he sees it and then understand how to define what you want to come out of it based upon what you've seen. See, because some of you have been looking at some stuff for quite a long time now. You've been pondering some things, but you haven't been able to come to a conclusion about it. I love you, and I know it feels like I'm meddling right now because I am. So you've been looking at some things and you haven't figured out exactly how you want to approach them and what exactly you want to do with them. That's because the fruit hasn't been defined yet, but we're going to get there. So this is what I need for you to understand. Now I want you to go to the book of Luke, chapter 11, verse 33 through 36, and this is going to clarify some things for you. This is going to get us on track to where we can start digging into some stuff. So Luke chapter 11, verses 33 through 36 says this. Watch this. Luke chapter 11, verses 33 through 36 says this. It says, no man, when he hath lighted a candle, putteth it in a secret place, neither under a bushel, but on a candlestick, that they which come in may see the light. The light of the body is the eye. Therefore, when thine eye is single, thy whole body also is full of light. But when thine eye is evil, thy body also is full of darkness. Take heed, therefore, that the light which is in thee be not darkness. If thy whole body, therefore, be full of light, having no part dark, watch this, this is the key right here, having no part dark. See, what's been happening is your spirit's been lit, but your soul's been dark. You haven't clarified the fruit. You haven't defined what it actually is that you want to produce. So watch what happens. He says, having no part dark, the whole shall be full of light. Watch this. As when the bright shining of a candle doth give light. So I need you to see a couple of things before I give you this first point, because it's going to be an eye-opener for some of you to help you understand what's been going on with you. when it says, no man, when he hath lighted a candle, putteth it in a secret place. That's your spirit. That's defining your spirit. That's what was going on in Hebrews 4. So I want you to think of the candle being lit being your spirit. All right. And then it says, you don't put it in a secret place. Now, your mind, your will, and your emotions, that's your soul. Until your soul understands what's going on in your spirit, it's a dark place. Lions, you're breaking it down. Lions, lions, lions. Watch this. Until the soul understands what's going on in the spirit, it's a secret place. It's under a bushel. It's a dark place. There's no clarity yet. The mind, the will, and the emotions have not yet lined up with what is going on in the spirit. That's why when you start to have that queasy, that uneasy feeling, your spirit again knows exactly what needs to be done. But your soul, your mind, your will, and your emotions don't really know what's going on just yet. So that power that's in there is wanting to be released to produce a specific result for you. But until there's a level of understanding in the mind, the will, and the emotions, there's no movement that can take place. Watch this. There's no decision that can be made. So for those of you that's been struggling to make a decision, that's why. Spirit knows what's going on and knows exactly what needs to be made. Mind, will, and emotions have not caught up yet. I'm going to give you a minute to ponder on that. The mind and the will and the emotions haven't caught up yet with what's lit. So since they haven't caught up yet with what's lit, now the issue becomes, I feel like I need to do this, but then I want to do this, but I'm not sure if I need to do this. And then, so you're caught between a rock and a hard place. So, because this is what I want you to understand. In verse 35, when it says, take heed therefore that the light which is in thee be not darkness. This is why you have to understand why the word of God is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, dividing asunder of the soul and the spirit, so that this right here can keep from happening. So that the light that seems to come on, watch this, the light that seems to come on. And watch this, because this is key, because I want you to get this. The light that needs to come on, you want to make sure that it's not something dark. You want to make sure that it's not something that's a hindrance. Is the sound back on now? I want to make sure that because again, I'm fixing to turn this up. Y'all let me know something. Sound good? If it sounds good, y'all shoot me up. Okay. Now watch this, because here's the key. If the light, watch this, that's in thee is darkness. So in other words, some things that are going on in your mind will make bad look good. Now, hear what I'm saying? Will make bad look good. And that's what we don't want. we don't want bad looking good. That's what this is talking about right here. Take heed that the light which is in thee be not darkness. So it's saying make sure that what you're looking at ain't hornswaggling you. Make sure that what you're looking at is not bamboozling you. Make sure that what you're looking at is, watch this, what it is. So you need to make sure that it is what it is. So y'all type that in for me. Make sure that it is what it is. Because right now, Satan's trying to do a lot of deceiving. He's trying to do a lot of things to throw you off so that, watch this, everything won't be one, like what he's talking about in verse 34. Make sure that it is what it is, because in verse 34, it's saying the light of the body is the eye. Eye, talking about right there, is talking about a spirit, talking about your spirit man. So the key is saying make sure that thine eye is single. When thine eye is single, the whole body is full of light. But when thine eye is evil, and evil in this instance is saying it's divided. It's the soul is not in sync with the spirit. So this is what I'm trying to make sure that is happening for you. We got to make sure that your soul is in sync with your spirit. See, once you make sure that your soul is in sync with your spirit, that's when your confidence level goes from unsure to let's rock. After you make sure that it is what it is, and that it means to you what it means to you, that's when you go from unsure to let's rock. Let's do this. So the first point I want you to get is pursuing your soul's desire before you align it with your spirit is what's causing your wavering. Pursuing your soul's desire and not aligning it with your spirit is what's causing your wavering. See, pursuing your soul's desire will grieve your spirit when they're not in sync. And that's why you'll go like, well, yeah, I'm ready to do it. Well, nah, I ain't for sure. I'm ready to do it. And then, watch this, after you get tired of wavering, that's when you just make a rash decision. And that's what's done happen to some of you. You made a rash decision, and then in the making of that rash decision, you realize, doggone it, that ain't what I meant to do. That's not what I wanted to do. That's not the heart that I wanted to have concerning this. So have you ever been in, if you've ever been in this position, I'm just putting this out for myself. You've been in a position to where you made a decision, you start heading towards that decision, and during the time that you're headed towards that decision, you start questioning yourself. Is this really what I want to do? Is this really the way that I want to go? Is this really what I want to partake of? That's when you have not made sure that your mind, your will, and your emotions are in alignment with your spirit. At that point, you ain't got no defined fruit. At that point, you're not even sure what you need to be going after. You're not even sure as to whether or not you're on the right pathway. So this is what I want you to understand. Because every one of us has been in this position before. And nobody can act like that you've always been solid and for sure and ready to go. Let's rock every single time, every single decision. Don't even play me like that. Don't even try it. And I don't care how holy you are, and I don't care how long you've been in the ministry, and I don't care. You ain't always had everything in alignment. You ain't always had your mind, your will, and your emotions in line with your spirit before you take a direction and take a step. Here's why I want you to understand this. Now let's go, since we're in Luke, let's go to Luke chapter 9, verses 51 through 56, because I want you to see this. Luke chapter 9, verse 51 through 56 says this. Here's the key. It says, and it came to pass when the time was come that he should be received up, he steadfastly set his face to go to Jerusalem, and sent messengers before his face, and they went and entered into a village of the Samaritans to make ready for him. And they did not receive him, because his face was as though he would go to Jerusalem. And when his disciples, James and John, nicknamed the sons of thunder, disciples James and John saw this, they said, Lord, wilt thou that we command fire to come down from heaven and consume them, even as Elias did? Watch this. But he turned and rebuked them and said, you know not what manner of spirit you are of. In other words, your fruit ain't defined. You acting like somebody that ain't us. Of course, y'all ain't ever done that. Y'all ain't never had that Snickers commercial issue to where when you get hungry, you're not yourself. Y'all ain't ever had nothing like that happen. But I have. So this is what James and John are doing right here, is they're having this issue of, you know what? Y'all ain't down with us. We finna take y'all out. So watch this. Look at what happens. It then says, for the Son of Man is not come to destroy men's lives, but to save them. And they went to another village. Here's what I want you to understand. Here's my second point. Never fight to prove your fruit, because that's from the wrong tree. Never fight to prove your fruit, because that's from the wrong tree. It might be the right fruit, but you got the wrong mindset about it. Right fruit, wrong mindset. Because if you're trying to fight about it, I'm going to show you a little bit later that there shouldn't be fight in you when you know that you are carrying out the right fruit. There's no fight when it's right. You're not going to fight. You're not going to want to fight. When it's the right fruit with the right heart, you're not going to want to fight. You're not going to need to fight. Why? Because once you've got the right fruit, the right heart, in the right place, there's not going to be a need to fight. So what some of you need to catch a hold of is this right here. I love you, but this right here is going to be a bombshell for some of you. If you know that you're right, and you know that you're doing exactly what God is wanting you to do, and there's still seemingly opposition and a reason for you to have to fight to implement it, it's in the wrong place. If it's the right fruit, the right mindset, and there's still fight that's needing to be done to implement it, wrong place. So in other words, you done heard what the Lord told you, made it crystal clear that that's what he wants you to do, how he wants you to do it. There comes a point in time that you need to know exactly like what I just showed you in Luke 9, that ain't the right place. Watch this. That ain't the right relationship. Oh, did he say that? Yeah, I said that. You're doing exactly what he gave you to do, how he gave you to do it, with the right heart, and there's still fight. Time to go to another village. I didn't write this. I'm just trying to show you these principles to help you understand how to not fight when you know you're right. See, when you know you're right, you ain't no need in fighting. Just let them find out what was wrong. That's all you got to do. You ain't got to try to make them take it, because watch this. If you got to make them take it, they ain't going to get it anyway. Listen to what I said. If you got to make them take it, they ain't going to get it anyway. I'm going to make sure y'all heard what I said right there. If you got to make them take it, they ain't getting it anyway. They ain't getting it. So why are you fighting to try to make them take it? Just so y'all know, that wasn't in the notes. So I'm wanting to make sure that you understand. If you're having to fight to make them take it, they ain't getting it anyway. You are losing your sight and starting to allow darkness to come in if you're trying to fight them to get them to take what you know is right. Watch this. Let's go to this next point, because I got some barn burners that's coming later. So watch this. Here's the key. I want you to get this. Next scripture, let's go to John chapter 18, verses 33 through 36. John chapter 18, verses 33 through 36. Told y'all, we getting restitution. I am on a mission. I want to make sure y'all are the strongest disciples this side of heaven. Because you mess with me during the feast days, nah. Because I know that's my call. I know that's what's going on. So I know that that's what I'm supposed to do, when I'm supposed to do it. You do something to hinder it, okay. All right. Note to self, making everybody even stronger. So here's the deal. John chapter 18, verses 33 through 36 says this. It says, Then Pilate entered into the judgment hall again and called Jesus and said unto him, Art thou the King of the Jews? Jesus answered him, watch this. Jesus answered him, Sayest thou this thing of thyself, or did others tell it thee of me? Jesus is making him define his fruit. Pilate answered, Am I a Jew? Thine own nation and the chief priests have delivered thee unto me. What hast thou done? Jesus, what you done for them to be ready to crucify you? What you done to make them be acting this way towards you? Watch this. Jesus answered, My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, then would my servants fight. Uh-oh. Time out. Time out. Time out. So you running around here talking about you're a part of God's kingdom, a part of Christ's kingdom, but then fighting with everybody, trying to get them to receive your word, trying to get them to receive your thought process, trying to get them to receive what God said. Wrong kingdom. Look at what he says, if my kingdom were of this world, then would my servants fight, that I should not be delivered to the Jews. But now is my kingdom not from hence. All right. So third point. If you have to fight to get your point across, you ain't defined your fruit yet. That's what's going on. It might be that it came from God, but you haven't defined that for you yet. See, because when it comes from him, it comes to you. Then it's up to you to process it. Make it all light. Make it all agree. Make sure that your mind, your will, and your emotions are in line with what got placed in your spirit. Then once your mind, your will, and your emotions are in alignment with what got placed in your spirit, now when you go to release it, you're not going to have a desire to fight. You're not going to have a desire to argue with nobody. I ain't finna argue with you. What I don't even know the rapper's name. I ain't going back and forth with you. I'm not fixing to do that. There's no need for me to do that. So this is why it's so important for you to have your fruit defined from where you stand. Here's why. Now let's go, because now we're fixing to stir it up. Now let's go to Proverbs 18, because this is, I'm about to bust some bubbles with this one. Proverbs 18, verses 20 and 21. Proverbs 18, verses 20 and 21, because some people done taught this verse right here wrong. I ain't got no other way to say it. Yes, I'm flat out standing 10 toes down and saying it's been taught wrong. Now I'm going to straighten it out right here to help you so that you can understand some things. Proverbs 18, verse 20 and 21 says this. Proverbs 18, verse 20 and 21. A man's belly shall be satisfied with the fruit of his mouth, and with the increase of his lips shall he be filled. Verse 21 is what's been taught wrong. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. This verse has been erroneously and wrongly taught, telling you will only speak life. That ain't what that says. That ain't what Jesus done. And you got to understand how to unlearn that tonight, because you have got to define your fruit. He is not saying to only speak life. He tells you to choose life in Deuteronomy, but he doesn't tell you to only speak life. How can I prove this? Glad you asked. What did he say to the fig tree? Did he speak life to it, or did he speak death to it? I'll wait. So what I need for you to understand is this. There's a time that you got to know what to speak death to. Now, you ain't speaking death to everything, but you got to speak death to some things. Watch this. Before the life that you speak to the thing that you want can even come forth. Lions, preach it to them. See, some of y'all ain't spoke death to some stuff. That's why you keep going back to it. You keep letting it live. You keep giving it life. So the fact that you keep giving that life, now you two-spirited, you double-spirited about what you should be doing and what you used to do. Oh, my goodness, my goodness, my goodness. See, it ain't even the enemy coming after you. It's you not knowing how to use. It's you not knowing how to use the power you've been given to speak death to what you're finished with. You keep using your words to go towards something that's supposed to be dead and stay dead. But you keep bringing life back to it. I don't know why I keep going back to that. Because you keep letting it live. You keep allowing life to exist in something that no longer has purpose or use in your life. I ain't gonna hang out on that too long. But watch this. See, well, I gotta go ahead and say this. See, some of y'all still got too much life in that X. That's why you can't move on to what you got promised to you. I love you. But you know, they done already proven to you that they keep pulling you back, pulling you down, slowing you down, bringing darkness, and you keep fooling with them. Watch this. Let me go on to this next point. Because this is the key. This is very important that I want you to understand about this point right here. The reason I had to be so clear about a man's belly shall be satisfied with the fruit of his mouth, and with the increase of his lips shall he be filled. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. What I'm fixing to say to you, what I'm fixing to tell you with this fourth point, I need to make crystal clear to you and make sure that you get it. If you don't get nothing else, make sure you get this point tonight. Now, the other two that's coming after this one is fire too. But this one right here, I need for you to understand this. Saying what you don't want is not automatically saying what you do want. Saying what you don't want is not automatically saying what you do want. That's why you got to know how to speak death and life. Saying what you don't want is saying death to that choice. But you haven't spoken life to the choice that you want to make yet. Woo! Saying what you don't want is not automatically saying what you do want, even if both choices are there. This is what you got to understand. Two choices get set in front of you. You say, I don't want that one. Just because you said you don't want that one, you still haven't said that you do want the other one. I pray that one was crystal clear for you. Because it's setting the tone for the last 2 points. Because this is what I need you to get. So now, watch this. I want you to go to the book of Esther, chapter 8. Cause between tonight and Saturday, Esther is going to probably be some of y'all's favorite book. It might already be your favorite book, but when I show you what I'm going to show you, yeah, because it's going to help you clearly define your fruit. This right here is a game changer. Tonight, Saturday, game changer. You already got the power, but I got to help you understand how to clearly define your fruit so that you can begin to get the results that you've been wanting, but you haven't been verbalizing. Watch this. Esther chapter 8, verses 3 through 8. Esther chapter 8, verses 3 through 8 says this. Watch this. Esther chapter 8, verses 3 through 8 says, "And Esther spake yet again before the king, and fell down at his feet, and besought him with tears to put away the mischief of Haman the Agagite, and his device that he had devised against the Jews." Now understand, at this point right here, this is why you gotta understand what I'm trying to tell you about making sure that you've defined your fruit, and that saying what you don't want is not automatically saying what you do want. At this point right here in Esther chapter 8, notice what it said. It said that Esther is going to the king in tears about the mischief of Haman. Haman is dead right here. He's already dead. He has already been hung. He has already been offed. He has already taken out of the picture. So why is Esther still crying about the mischief of Haman when Haman's dead? Here's why. Then the king held out the golden scepter toward Esther. So Esther arose and stood before the king and said, "If it please the king, and if I have found favor in his sight, and the thing seem right before the king, and I be pleasing in his eyes, let it be written to reverse the letters devised by Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, which he wrote to destroy the Jews which are in all the king's provinces. For how can I endure to see the evil that shall come unto my people? Or how can I endure to see the destruction of my kindred?" Then King Ahasuerus said unto Esther the queen, and to Mordecai the Jew, "Behold, I have given Esther the house of Haman, and him they," look at what it says, "have hanged." I told you, Haman's already dead, but there's an issue. Haman have hanged, watch this, upon the gallows, because he laid his hand upon the Jews. Write ye also for the Jews. Ho, 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 ho. Time out. Time out. Do what for the Jews? Write ye also for the Jews, watch this, as it liketh you. Lord Jesus, help me right here. Help me do right here. See, when I'm constantly telling you guys, those of you that I've counseled, those of you that I talk to, those of you that I try to help guide, when I'm telling you, what is it that you like? When I'm telling you, pick what you like. I'm telling you, make sure, but whatever it is to you, make sure that you are being truly authentic to yourself. This is what the king is saying to Esther. as it liketh you. King's not telling her what to write. King's not telling her how it should be written. King is telling her, write this how you like it. Write it to fit you. Write it to fit you. Write it to fit you. Y'all type that in for me. Write it to fit you. Because that's what he's telling her to do. He's saying, write ye also for the Jews as it liketh you, watch this, in the king's name. Now, is that not the exact same thing that Jesus was explaining to the disciples? He said, henceforth, you've asked nothing in my name. It's the exact same thing. You got to write it to fit you. See, because the reason some of y'all have not, watch this, heard from the Lord, because the Lord ain't heard from you. It ain't that you ain't prayed. It ain't that you ain't asked him. It ain't that you have not sought him with tears. Lord, show me what to do about this. All he's trying to tell you is, write it to fit you. Because until you write it to fit you, he can't move. See, some of y'all need to understand that you've grown up enough that he wants you to make a decision for you. That's what's going on. That's the reason some of you ain't got your prayer answered yet. Because you ain't told him what you really want. You trying, watch this, I love you, but this is what I got to say so that I can help y'all get this understood. You still trying to put the blame of the outcome on God. Listen to how I said that. Not the blessing of the outcome, the blame of the outcome. See, because in your head, right now, you're thinking, if I do this the way that I think that God wants it done, it ain't going to work. That's what's going on in your head. And the truth of the matter is, he has no decision about it. He's wanting you to truly decide what you want out of the situation, but you won't do it. You won't make a decision. You won't define the fruit. So since you won't define the fruit, he's like, okay, I'm just going to let it sit here. I'm going to just keep waiting until you decide what you truly want to make it fit you. When he says, I would that you were cold or hot. Again, free will, choice up to you, pick one. If you ain't feeling it, don't do it. But the key is, you got to get to the place to where what he's wanting you to do, you got to understand that what he's wanting you to do is make it fit to what you're feeling. Because that's what he's wanting you to use in the first place. He's the one that gave you the desires of your heart. Watch this. He gave you the desires of your heart so that you could seek him about how to manage the desires of your heart. Pay attention to how I said that. He gave you the desires of your heart so that you would know how to seek him about the desires of your heart. That's why I wanted you to understand about the spirit and the soul. He knows what he put in you. Again, what you desire, everybody's not going to desire. That's why he wants you to write it to fit you. You keep trying to make it fit others, but give yourself to it. And that's why you keep wavering back and forth. He's done told you. All the silver is his, all the gold is his, the cattle of 1,000 hills is his. So what do you think you're going to ask that's going to be outside of his checkbook? You can't ask outside of his checkbook. Now the issue is, you got to make sure that whatever you're asking for fits you. Not to be like anybody else. Not to please anybody else. That it fits you. If that's what you really want, say that. Watch this. Because see, I want y'all to understand. This message right here, it ain't for everybody. I know it ain't for everybody. Because a lot of people, when they hear what I'm saying, they're automatically fighting. No, you gotta follow the will of the Lord. Yes, you do. Because he put inside of you what you are designed to desire. And it ain't like nobody else. So the key is, when he's not picking it for you, he's expecting you to pick it. When he is not picking it for you, he's expecting you to pick it. That's why you got to define your fruit. That's why you have to define the details. But like I said, you still got in your head that it ain't going to work out. So you want to put the blame on him and say, I was just following what the Lord gave me to do. And what he's saying is, I want you to pick what you want. I want you to decide what you want. Period. Not what anybody else, not what you think you deserve, because in your head, that's too low anyway. He's trying to get you, if this is what you really want. So let me help y'all with this. The Toyota that I drive, my gosh, and time's done flew on me. The Toyota that I drive, that's what I really want. I don't want anything else. I went after what I truly desired. There is nothing else. It was funny because today I had the chance when I went to the store. I parked between a Land Rover and I parked between a Tahoe, one of the new ones. Both of them look really, really nice. I don't want either one of them. I like the Yoda. That's what I call it, the Yoda. Me and the Yoda, we straight. I don't want anything else. I don't desire anything, quote unquote, more luxurious, because in most cases, most of that stuff that's more luxurious is too small for your boy anyway. The Yoda fits me perfect. I love it. It's a truck. I can haul stuff if I need to haul it. I've got enough room if I need to carry somebody with me. Everything about it I like. Why am I telling you this? Because I picked that for me. It wasn't, I had gotten to the point that I had followed everything the Lord had told me up to that point. And then when he said, okay, it's time for you to trade the previous vehicle, get what you want. So there it was. That was what I wanted. That's what I got. Here's why I wanted to tell you this. Y'all give me about 10 more minutes and I'll lock this down. Because you have got to define what you want. That is what I wanted you to see. The king told her, look at what he says. In verse 8, write ye also for the Jews as it liketh you. This is why I need you to understand it. Because sometimes to define your fruit, you're going to have to reverse roles for the purpose of your soul. That's what she's doing right there. In verse 5, when it says, let it be written to reverse the letters. See, you had some stuff that was previously written against your progress. And now it's time for the roles to be reversed. It's time for you to write it how you want it to fit you. It's time for you to write the direction that you want to take. It's time for you to write things the way you want it done. Write the vision down and make it plain so that he who reads it can run with it. We're going to talk about Habakkuk Saturday too. But I need for you to get this so we can finish this last point. I want you to go to Matthew chapter 7, verse 15 through 20, so that you can get this. Matthew chapter 7, verse 15 through 20 says this. Woo! Time flies when you're having fun. Watch this. Matthew 7, verse 15 through 20. Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. You shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles? Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire. Wherefore, by their fruits ye shall know them. Here's what I need you to understand before I give you this last point. In verse 17, it says, even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit. Here's what that word bringeth forth means. That word bringeth forth means, one of its meanings is without any delay. Woo! Without any delay. So if there's any delay, if you are good and you know that your intents are good, you know that you're doing what you're designed to do, you know you wrote it to fit you. If there's delay, then the issue is either one, what you're desiring is not fully ready for you, or two, you have yet to fully embrace what you truly desire. And sometimes you have yet to fully embrace what you truly desire is because you haven't defined it. You haven't truly zeroed in and said, this is what I want. The Yoda, that's what I wanted. Why? Because the Yoda is the only truck up to this point. They might have come up with another one now. But the Yoda is the only truck that's got a roll down back window. The Tundra. Every other truck has only got a small portion of the window that he rolls or opens or does whatever. And that's fine. I'm not against that. But I always wanted that full roll down back window. And that's what I got now. And that's one of the only trucks that has it. That's one of the reasons that I wanted it. Why? Because I can let that window down and I can roll and there's a nice breeze without me having to let all the other windows down, without me having to open the sunroof, without me having to do this. I'm not bragging about what I have. I'm just telling you why I like what I have and why I wanted what I have, because that fit me. Nobody else probably cares anything about a back window rolling down. I do. I like it. Why? Because I do. That's the only reason I can give you that. Because I do. I like it. That's what I want. That's what I got. Now, I wanted you to understand all of that to give you this last point, because without any delay, God desires for you to make it known of what you want in any area, whether that's relationship, whether that's, company that you want to own, company that you want to work for, house, vehicle, all those things. He's not against you having those things. That's not the issue. The issue is your heart about those things. So this is why I'm trying to help you with this tonight, so that it's preparing you for what we're going to look at Saturday. Because of this right here. This is the last point. If you lose when you give, you haven't defined your fruit yet. If you are a child of God and you lose when you give, you haven't defined your fruit yet. You say, "What, Lions? What are you talking about? What does that point have to do with defining your fruit?" Here's why. The fact that bringeth forth means without any delay, then what you have to understand is if a situation requires for you to give something, whether it's money, whether it's time, whether it's whatever, if it requires for you to give something, if in your head you are losing when you give, you ain't defined your fruit yet as a citizen of God's kingdom. Here's why. God designed everything to reproduce after its own kind. So here's the key. Please hear me with what I'm about to tell you. If in your head God tells you to give something, He leads you to give something, He teaches you to give something. If in your head, when you let it go, or when you plan to let it go, if in your head you are losing by letting it go, that I'm losing this money when I give it, I'm losing this when I tithe, I'm losing this when I invest my time to this person, I'm losing this. If that is what is in your head, you don't yet understand the power of God and how He's designed for you to multiply. So you don't know the fruit that you are releasing yet. You don't know the fruit that you are yet. Because when you release it, you automatically activate multiplication. Everything you let go and everything that you give, you automatically activate multiplication when you understand fruit according to God's standard. How can I say that? Because He said, be fruitful and multiply. I didn't write it. So if every time that I'm giving, I'm thinking subtraction is happening, I haven't defined my fruit yet. If I'm a part of His kingdom, if I am His child, and I am, and you are, every time you let something go, immediately it bringeth forth multiplication. Every time. You say, well, I'm giving my last, I'm letting it go. No, you giving your multiplication. That's what you're giving. See, you can't save your way into prosperity. You have to sow your way into it. Lions, lions, lions. Because he gives you what he gives you so that you can represent him and multiply with it. See, I'll type that in for me. Multiply with it. Because everything that he's given you is designed to multiply. Everything that you have, the time that you have, he wants to multiply it. The money that you have, he wants to multiply it. The happiness that you have, he wants to multiply it. The peace that you have, he wants to multiply it. But you won't let any of it go. You keep trying to hold on to it. He wants you to multiply with it. That's why once you've defined your fruit, once you've defined your fruit, you automatically know that every time you go to give anything, multiplication is the outcome. So you need to be ready to multiply with it every time. You know you've defined your fruit properly when you know that whatever you're releasing and whatever you're doing is only going to multiply for you. Lions, 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 lions. So when you commit to doing whatever you commit to do, whether it be giving, whether it be helping, whether it be whatever, if you, cause listen, I gotta help you I gotta hurt you to help you, but I gotta help you with this. The reason that you don't get help is because in your head, you are releasing help without believing that you'll get help when you need it. Well, I'm always giving out, but anytime I need somebody to help me, they gone. Because that's what was in your head when you was helping somebody else. You release help, you need to understand that's going to multiply back to you when you got the right mindset about it. You release money, you need to understand that's going to multiply back to you each time you release it. You release compassion, that's going to multiply back to you every time. Whatever it is, multiply with it. Because once you define your fruit, multiplication is your portion when you got the right mindset about it. Saturday morning, exclusive Ecclesia, around about 10:30ish, here on Facebook. If you have not become a part of exclusive Ecclesia, all you have to do is whoever may have invited you to be on here tonight, have them add you to exclusive Ecclesia. They can do that without any contact with me. If you are just coming on here for the first time, we thank you for coming on for the first time. If you'd like to be a part of exclusive Ecclesia, just inbox me, exclusive, that's all you got to type, and then I will add you, and we go from there. But I thank you for taking the time to allow me to give this tonight. It's going to multiply back to you. It's going to be more efficient, because Saturday, we're going to light it up. Be ready for the dates. Be ready to write them down. Be ready to be expectant. Be ready for multiplication to happen for you. So again, our points tonight: pursuing your soul's desires will grieve your spirit and cause wavering. Never fight to prove your fruit. That's from the wrong tree. Number 3, if you have to fight to get your point across, you ain't defined your fruit yet. Number 4, saying what you don't want is not automatically saying what you do want. Number 5, sometimes to define your fruit, you will have to reverse roles for the purpose of your soul. Number 6, if you lose when you give, you ain't defined your fruit yet. So I love you guys. Thank you all for taking your time to tune in tonight. Please tune in Saturday. It's going to be worth your while because we're going to reverse some stuff. I'm going to show you how to reverse some stuff. I'm going to give you a blueprint. I can't do it for you. You have to do it. But I'm going to give you the blueprint to do it. That's why the dates are so important. That's why the things that I'm going to show you and bring out on Saturday is so important. So thank you for tuning in tonight. Look forward to seeing you on Saturday. Love you all. Y'all have a blessed rest of the evening. Peace.